Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Circle, and welcome everyone to my first ever draft analysis on YouTube. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while, but I was just, kind of scared of using any softwares or any of that sort. I just didn't want to bother with all this technical stuff, even though I really love talking about Pokemon. But thank you so much to everyone in the Oshean League, headed by one and only MattOShea, like one of the best YouTubers out there for draft content, especially if you're learning because of the amount of in-depth analysis he goes towards his team building and his plays. Highly, highly, highly recommend checking him out. I will hopefully remember to put his link in the description. And so what he was holding his own league called the Oshean League, and to the community out there. So I wanted to try and apply for it, and hopefully try and make more friends and try knowing more people in the community. And I am very, very, very thankful to Matt for taking the risk with me and making ensuring that I get in the league, and I'm super thankful about it. So yeah, and to everyone in the league, to all the content creators in the league, I think you guys were like that final push I needed to start making to start making some sort of content. I'm not sure how it will be going forward because I am a university master's student who has quite a bit on his plate usually, but I will try my best, and hopefully I should be able to try to make as much content as I physically can. So, welcome again. I am Circle, and I'm your coach of the Dubai Darm-Riders. And yeah, so I was put in Division 1, which has fairly more experienced coaches in a 20-man snake draft. So, a snake draft is a type of draft. We go from first to the last place and then last to first so that picks are kept fair for everyone out there. So yeah, in my draft pool, I was the second overall pick, which is very exciting for like a 20-man league. So I pretty much, barring one Pokemon, I had the entire draft pool to myself. So yeah, I was pretty open about what I wanted, knowing from my past experiences, because you don't know what Pokemon will make it back to you, and there will be a lot of snipes. So being in second, Dragapult went before me. I really would have liked Dragapult, even though I have it in like three other leagues, mainly because it's a more comfort pick and I know exactly how to build around it and how to help shore up its weaknesses and capitalize on its strengths. But no matter, I am second overall pick, and there were a lot of mons that interested me. Urshifu Single Strike was there as well, but I had recently used it in a league. I really enjoyed it, by the way. Super great mon, and I wanted to try something different as well. So yeah, then I looked at the mega. So this draft is a Nadex legacy draft, where sorry, not a legacy, the not legacy draft, just the normal Gen 8 rules, Nadex. So the cut moves are not allowed. So you do not have your pursuits, you don't have your hidden powers, your signal beams, your tail glows, etc., etc. So your the draft, pretty much the whole dynamic of a draft changes with these rules in mind. And initially, my first overall pick was Mega Scizor, mainly because I had a lot of fun when I used it the last time, and it literally carried me to a championship win in an Ubers league. It was very difficult to kill. I mean, just because as a Mega Scizor, what fire coverage your opponent has, being where fire being its only weakness, and it's much more improved bulk. So I initially took Mega Scizor, and then as the draft went on, I realized that okay, I don't think a high tier dragon would make it back to me, because what I initially wanted to do was I wanted Mega Scizor to be a supporting piece to another high tiered fighting or dragon type. Essentially, that's how you best build around it. So I wasn't sure if something of that caliber would have made it back. Maybe if I was like a bit lower, like I don't know, like seventh, eighth pick or whatever, then I would have been far more confident. But so yeah, so I was looking at the draft and I saw that this one had somehow gotten to the 13th overall pick. I have no idea how. And I hit up the dude, friendly1234. Shout out, big shout out to him. Thank you so much for cooperating with me. And he wanted the Mega Scizor, and he really wanted to use it, and he was kind of bummed out. So I was like, okay, well, I really want to give this Pokemon another chance because I had this Pokemon before, but the biggest mistake I made was I built around it rather than having this particular Pokemon be the supporting piece to the team that I wanted. So I was forced to bring it as a win con almost every single week, which really limited the creative opportunities that this Pokemon can exploit. So yeah, so we went with a few trades. We traded with each other. So like he grabbed two Pokemon and then I grabbed two Pokemon so that we could have equal points because Mega Scizor was 17 points and this Pokemon was 18 points. So without further ado, my first overall pick, and technically this is legit a second overall pick in draft, like normally. My first overall pick is the Tornadus Tyrian. Tornty is arguably one of the best Pokemon in draft format. It does so many different things. It's a bulky pivot, special breaker, defogger, utility support, cleaner. And we can look at its stats. I mean, 100 attack is nothing to scoff at, right? I mean, it's the same attack stat as a Mew or like a similar special attack stat as a Dragapult, and they hit quite hard. And it has some of the moves that can capitalize off its attack stat. It has good bulk in 79, 80, and 90, so it can take hits really decently. Really nice special attack in 110. And one of the big things is its 121 base speed tier. I think that is so important to have in a big draft like 20 people because a lot of people won't have that elite speed tier which they call about 120. So I think Tornadus Tyrian is very good. I think whenever I've faced it, I've had a lot of problem preparing for it because the amount of roles it fulfills are just frightening. This thing is, yeah, just because the roles I've discussed, the bulky pivot, special breaker, defogger, etc., etc. And what makes this thing so good at tanking hits? It is ability Regenerator, and what Regenerator does is whenever this Pokemon is switched out, it essentially recovers 33% of its health. And 33% is quite a lot. Like let's say you tank a weaker hit that does like 30 like 29 to 30%. You can take the hit, you can pivot out, and bam, you're back at full health. So it's a very good mon for scouting. Uh, with the introduction of heavy duty boots, it does not care about stealth rocks, which it is weak to, which it would normally take 25% damage with. So heavy duty boots have been a blessing for this Pokemon. And yeah, so I have named him Sota. Shout out to Pokemon Rejuvenation to being my favorite fan game. So you'll see a trend that my Pokemon are named after the gym leaders of that game because I really love the game, and a lot of these Pokemon are their respective gym leaders' aces. So I'm very excited to use this Tornadus. If you look at the move pool, it gets Hurricane, U-turn for momentum, knockoff, very nice for removing items. Heatwave breaks steel types, Icy Wind for those bulky ground types. Some miscellaneous coverage like Dark Pulse, Focus Blast. Oh, Dark Pulse is there twice. Okay, well that was a mistake. Sludge Wave is a really nice, another really cool coverage move that hits your fairy types. Grass Knot, Weather Ball can be used in weather. Like let's say if I just set up a rain dance with Torn, I can click those 100% accurate hurricanes, and those weather wall waters. Very, very cool. Acrobatics is there for a physical set, potentially, with superpower as coverage. It also gets some other very nice coverage moves that I have not listed. Let's look at the support moves. Okay, so apparently Weather Ball is a support move in this draft. But yeah, so I'll just ignore that part. So it gets bulk up, seldomly used, but it could be a very nice like surprise tornado set. Catch an opponent off guard that have prepared for a special torn. Tailwind is great for setting up sweeps for your opponents, for your other Pokemon. Uh, Taunt is very cool. It's a very nice stall breaking move, so that your opponent can't recover, can't switch out, can't switch out using baton pass, etc., etc. Can't toxic your teammates. Toxic also is a pretty cool move there, but just wearing down those bulky threats. And I think the main move that made it broken is Nasty Plot. Yeah, just with that +2 special attack and its great speed, and the fact that flying isn't the best resisted type, it's only resisted by rock and steel types, which it has the coverage to hit in Focus Blast and Heat Wave, etc. It just covers those typings so well with that Nasty Plot. It's a very good breaker. Very excited to use it. I think this Pokemon will be doing a lot of roles for my team, and I think with the team I have drafted, I think Tornado Styrian is a lot more free to run varying roles, as I discussed earlier. So yeah, so then the draft move forward, and I'm just waiting. I'm thinking, okay, what sort of Pokemon I want. I'm open to anything. I'm at this point. I'm like, okay, what is the best Pokemon that will come back to me at this point? And I did not expect the next two in particular, to return to me, mainly because they are first round picks as well, or at least like late second round at the back of the wheel. So like this is what like the 19th overall pick would be picking at first in the second round. But I'm not complaining. Somehow these two managed to make it back to me, and oh my god, I'm so excited to use this. My first Pokemon is bam, Excadrill. Excadrill is, I think, one of the best sweepers out there. Called Rallen, based on the ground gym leader. Ground and Steel is an excellent typing. It hits so many things super effectively. Fairies, yeah, fairy type, steel types, you name it. Just ice types. Phenomenal typing. I think it is great. It has some very nice stats. 135 sky high attack stat, a decent 88 base speed tier that can outrun the base 85s and other mons around 80s, etc., etc. 110 HP. Now this thing can be very deceptively bulky with that HP stat, even though its defenses aren't that good. I really think Excadrill can become quite a nice bulky mon if played right. And then we just look at this thing's abilities. Sand Force. It's kind of rare, so let's say, so in sand this Pokemon will be, its ground, steel, and rock moves will be doing a lot more damage than normal. Sand Rush, premier sweeping ability. You put it in sand, it will just clear teams down on its own. And Mold Breaker is, I think, one of my favorite abilities in draft. I think my top five. Mold Breaker does not care about your opponent's abilities. So let's say your opponent has a unaware Quagsire, for example. So I can just use the Excadrill and set up Swords Dances on that unaware Quagsire, or I can hit a levitating Pokemon with Earthquakes. It significantly reduces prediction with this Pokemon. Main roles it will be doing, it's Sand Sweeper, Physical Breaker, Hazard Setter. It gets Stealth Rocks. It's a very good Rapid Spinner, and with the Rapid Spin buff in Gen 8, where it increases your speed by +1, that just helps it so much with its sweeping capabilities, especially if it's running a Mold Breaker set. because then you are not so forced to run Sandrush or Sandforce, Sandrush, sorry. Yeah, just great. I mean, offensive moves. You can see Brick Break, excuse me, Earthquake, Iron Head, Poison Jab, Rapid Spin, Shadow Claw is very cool for the bulky psychics. Um, well, I don't know why I put Stomping Tempter. I meant to say high horsepower. Let's say if your opponent has a Tapu Bulu or something. And yeah, X's or like bulky grasses are like some of Excadrill's best counters. And I think Excadrill can decently muscle past some of them, especially if you combine it with Swords Dance. This thing becomes a monster with Swords Dance. Very good stealth rock setter, and it has other miscellaneous moves like Toxic, Iron Defense, Magnetize, so that it does is not hit by the ground moves that it hates. And now you're seeing why Excadrill and Tornado Syrian are just so good partners. Tornado Syrian just helps destroy the grass types that Excadrill dislikes when it's trying to sweep a team. Similarly, Excadrill breaks down the steel types that Tornado Syrian hates. Tornado Syrian is immune to ground, resists fighting, and Excadrill is immune to electric, which Torn hates, and it resists rock moves that Torn isn't fond of. So you can see clearly great synergy between these two Pokemon, and yeah, just very good pairing in my opinion. I think I have drafted. I think I got one of the best steel types out there. I guess that was a steel of sorts. Yeah, so sorry about the bad pun. And yeah, I think I've covered Excadrill quite well. Very just a great mon, honestly. And so I'm the second overall pick. So after that, the first overall pick will pick, and then I will pick. And I knew for a fact they will not pick this Pokemon because they already have a Dragapult, which is a dragon type, and I was shocked. I did not expect this Pokemon. Like I said, Excadrill maybe could have should have come, but I did not expect this Pokemon, especially with the huge buffs that it got this generation. Ladies and gentlemen, my third Pokemon is Larios, and oh my god, just look at its stats: 130 base special attack, 110 base speed, so it forms a very nice bridge between Excadrill and Tornado Styrian. Decent bulk, 110 special defense, 80 HP, 80 defense. Not so much defensively, can do very well special defensively. And it has a decent attack stat, like 90 attack is usable. I mean, yeah, it has the ability to levitate. It's a dragon and psychic typing, very good typing. It's does not appreciate steel types, but it has the coverage, which I will discuss, that can take care of that. Very good choice scarf user. I think it's one of my favorite choice scarf users out there. It can, with the moves it gets, just cleans up teams so well. Great setup sweeper. I will go over the moves that helps it become that setup sweeper. It gets defog, which I don't know if I'll be running much. Special breaker. That 130 base special attack speaks for itself. I mean, if you slap on a choice specs or if you use a calm mindset, great special breaker in my opinion. And what makes this thing so good is just look at this thing's offensive move stats. Psychic, Draco Meteor, Mystical Fire is huge. So normally it would have been in a meta game without Hidden Power Fire, it would have been wallable by quite a few steel types. Mystical Fire pretty much fixes that. And you have a Heatran that just is immune to Mystical Fire. Well, too bad. Now it gets Aura Sphere as well, so it can break stuff like Heatran as well. I mean, just the introduction of Mystical Fire and Aura Sphere gave this Pokemon so much in a metagame that it's not allowed to use hidden powers in. And just a very good miscellaneous coverage. Energy Ball, Shadow Ball, Earthquake, and Dragon Claw are actually a very legitimate options when it's doing physical sets. Psyshock, if you want to hit the physical side, Ice Beam is run, Thunderbolt, Zen Headbutt, very nice future sight spammer, 120 base special move. It can be used to play quite a few good mind games with the opponent. Yeah, just Larios, his offense is great in my opinion. And let's just look at the support. Tailwind, like Torn, very good for setting up sweeps. Calm Mind, premier special breaking move. Dragon Dance, yeah. So I was talking about how that 90 base attack is usable. It is a decent Dragon Dance sweeper. It's not your Dragonites or your Haxoruses, but it has the physical move pool that it can pull out those Dragon Dance sets very well. Toxic is staple. Roost makes it very nice for keeping itself healthy. Other support moves like Thunderwave, Defog. Memento is great for setting up sweeps. Same with screens. Trick is great on a spec slash a scarf set, so you can like cripple any passive mons basically. And agility it's a very nice like late game cleaner. And yeah, just if you and then again you can see like it's synergizing with the Excadrill. It is a fighting resist, it's a ground resist, it's a fire resist, which Excadrill does not like. Um, yeah, just very good at all that stuff. There is a bit of an ice weakness going on with my team as of yet, but I will be fixing that coming soon. So just and Latios is weak to fairy and dragon, which the Excadrill is very good at, well, decent at resisting. I wouldn't say good, but it can take those hits. And yeah, so just farming, I think, a really good fairy dragon steel core. Yeah. So then the draft moves along, goes up, comes back to me, and I'm praying this mon comes to me. I think this mon in particular, I think it will just synergize so good with this draft. I mean, you'll see why with other picks later down the line why this Pokemon is so good. And I wanted a good fairy type. At this point, all like the decent fairies are going. Togekiss went. Mega Guard has gone. A lot of really good fairies are going, and I'm just hoping this fairy just makes it back to me. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present to you the next Pokemon, which is Galerian Wheezing. And oh my god, I am so happy this dropped. I know first overall pick wanted this Pokemon as well, but I I mean I really needed this Pokemon. It just filled so many holes in this team. Galarian Wheezing is a poison and fairy, very unique typing. Gets three incredible abilities in Levitate, so it's another ground immunity for my Excadrill, which makes it even better. Neutralizing gas, so it removes a lot of abilities that your opponent has. So if you combine this with Mold Breaker, I think having that control to like remove your opponent's abilities is just great in my opinion. And Misty Surge. Now, spoiler alert, I did not draft a team that uses Misty Surge in any way, but I think there may be a tick or two which I can abuse it in, mainly because Latios, which would have liked the damage reduction that comes with the Misty Surge. It would have really liked it if it was the ground, but and it does not appreciate because as a Latios, you want to spam those very strong Draco Meteors. So I'll just keep that ability to the side. But yeah, just the first two abilities are so good in my opinion. Name Venom, hashtag best first gym leader I've ever fought in a game. Like, no doubts about it. Poison type. Rules it fulfills. Let's look at the stats. 90 attack, you are actually a very usable attack stat. 120 defense is so good. I mean, Galarian Wheezing honestly is one of the best answers to a lot of scary threats out there, and with its very unique poison and fairy typing, really good a fighting resist as well. Another fighting resist for my Galarian Wheezing, which I did not want, which for my Excadrill, which I really would have liked. Has a usable special attack stat, a decent SPDF. If you invest in it, I think it should be able to lift quite a few hits. 60 is a pretty okay speed tier. speed type with a lot of things like Clefable and Aegis Slash, etc., etc. Just a very good stat spread in my opinion. Rolls physical. It's a very good physical wall in my opinion. It's a very good physical wall. It's a great defogger. Very nice cleric. It actually gets aromatherapy. Aromatherapy is very cool for like curing status, and so forth. Occasional, I'm said occasional wall breaker. It gets a lot of cool coverage that it can wall break with if you invest in its special attack stat or its physical attack. And hazards. It is I think a great toxic spike setter, which my team would love because a lot of my Pokemon later down the road will love that chip damage that will come with those toxic spikes and the ability to poison and just cripple a lot of like fat stuff. Honestly, let's look at the moves. Clear Smog is amazing. Just says just stop setup with Clear Smog unless they are like sub plus setup. Dark Pulse is a good move that you can use against psychic types. Very like nice spammable move. Fire Blast is amazing. If I did not have any sort of fire coverage, I don't think it would have been that useful. The fact that you have Fire Blast, you can take care of those steel types that are trying to ruin your day because of that fairy typing. Get Flamethrower, Overheat for that nuke if you want to play it with. It gets Play Rough. Play Rough is can be used with the attack stat. Psybeam, Sludge Wave is a great poison move. That's your staple stab. I don't know if it gets poison jab. If it did and I forgot it, I'm sorry. But I'll have to see if it gets a poison jab, if it can use in its physical moves. Strange Steam is amazing. That's its main special fairy stab. 95 base. Oh, was it 95 or 90? I'm not sure what its power was. It doesn't get Moonblast, which sucks. Moonblast would have been fantastic, but it's Strange Steam is a good move. It has a 20% chance of confusing, which the opponent will, which can cause the opponent to not to lose quite a bit of their momentum, especially if they hit themselves. And Thunderbolt, just a great coverage move to hit bulky waters. It has an amazing support move pool. Curse, Memento. Memento is amazing for setting up sweeps. Destiny Bond to like get that cheeky KO. Haze is fantastic. Haze again, like Clear Smog, denies a lot of setup. Pain Split keeps itself healthy. It's not reliable recovery, but it makes do with it. Taunt, great for stall breaking. Will-O-Wisp to cripple physical threats. And Toxic Spikes, like how it was discussed. And yeah, just these great moves are really helping Galerian Wheezing, especially a very good poison type that helps Excadrill break down the grass types, and helps Latios break down those fairy types. Just a great mon. I'm so happy this mon made it back to me. So the next pick I wanted was more ways to break bulky grasses because I am trying to make Excadrill usually my win con. I want to have a very powerful special wall breaker because I'm gonna be having a lot of physical stuff later down the road. So I wanted a very good special wall breaker. I wanted to Rotom Heat initially, but I knew for a fact that was never gonna get to me. And I had the contingency plan for it. Rotom Heat got taken after the Galerian Wheezing for for information, but it's okay. I mean, I had my eyes on this mon for quite a while, and yeah, normally I wouldn't use it. I would use something else over it, and I've been wanting to use it. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our next pick, Narcissa the Chandeleur. And can you just look at that special attack stat? Just off the roof, 145 special attack. Amazing breaker. Ghost and Fire is such great typing. Breaks so many of the very common typings in the metagame and in draft, especially your bulky steels, your bulky grasses, your bulky psychics, your bulky your ghosts. Um, very good typing, very good abilities. Flame body can be very annoying to deal with, and especially if you get hit by a contact move and your opponent's a physical attacker, they get burnt, crippled. Flash fire acts as an immunity, fire immunity for Excadrill. So let's say you are kind of fire weak. Flash fire just solves that fire weakness right there and then. And Infiltrator, really good ability. I think that's what one of the abilities, one of the things that just made Dragapult so good. Infiltrator just ignores screens and substitutes, etc. So it's a very good Pokemon with respect to these abilities. Main roles, two main roles. Honestly, it's a great special wall breaker with that 145 special attack, and a really good scarf cleaner. Honestly, let's look at the offensive move pool. It gets Clear Smog, so I've seen Clear Smog being used with the very annoying Chandelure sets to deny setup. I'm so happy it gets Energy Ball. Otherwise, it would be kind of walled by like Spadef water types, like water grounds like Quagsire, etc., etc. So having that Energy Ball really helps break them down. Fire Blast is a nuke. Flamethrower is a very reliable stab. Hex is amazing, especially if you have Toxic Spike support, which the Galerian Wheezing gives the Chandelure. Amazing. And the fact that Galerian Wheezing also acts as a ground resist for Chandelure, uh, just so nice. Just all these synergies coming together are really cool to see. Psychic is very cool. It's a very cool third move that you may run. Breaks down bulky poisons, fighting types, etc. Shadow Ball is a very reliable stab option. Shockwave, I could see uses. Could see like let's say your opponent has like a Mantine or something, and you have like Calm Minds up, and you just click Shockwave, and that Mantine drops, for example. Yeah, just so good. It has a very cool support pool as well. Acid Armor is really cool for setups options. Carmine's great. Haze is fantastic. Imprison is usable. Let's say your opponent is a ghost type, you can like sub up and then you can block their ghost move, which is pretty cool. Memento is amazing for setting up sweeps. Pain Split keeps it healthy. Taunt, very cool for stall breaking. Trick is phenomenal or scarf sets, because then you can, let's say you have your opponent has like a dedicated special wall that goes into Chandelure, you can just trick it a scarf, and that one cannot like it cannot recover cannot use any recovery moves, etc., etc. Trick Room, I could see some uses of Trick Room, not much with the current setup I have. And Will-O-Wisp, very good for crippling bulky, just very good for crippling physical attackers. So really, really happy that Chandelure came. I think I'm quite excited to use it. Normally, I would use like Alolan and Marowak because that one I'm a bit more comfortable with. But given how physically offensive I was getting, I think I really wanted this special breaker of sorts. So yeah, um, let's go to my next few picks. So it's a bit out of order basically. Initially, I wanted to get regular Tyranitar, because I felt like Tyranitar and Excadrill are great partners, honestly. I mean, setting up sand, takes care of their own weaknesses, just great, solid partners for each other. And I felt I could wait for that Tyranitar quite late in the draft, so I ended up picking other Mons basically. And unfortunately, I did not see this coming. Tyranitar was grabbed. Kind of sucked, not gonna lie, but didn't phase me too much really. It would have been nice to own, uh, but I think what the result came off it was better in my opinion, and I will talk about that later. But I needed some sort of a Sandsetter for Excadrill, and I'm very happy this Pokemon did not get drafted, because then that could have easily thrown my plan out of the water, or I would have needed to like trade Excadrill away. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present our next Pokemon, Mega Tyranitar. If you can't have the normal, you go with its Mega. Um, just just look at those stats: 164 attack, 150 defense, usable special attack. Honestly, 120 speed depth, 71 speed, and 100 base HP. This thing is so bulky, takes so many good hits so hard that you are at times you don't even need to invest in its attack stat. The only thing it does lose is like the use of items because mega normal Tyranitar loves items like a smooth rock for Excadrill or a choppleberry or leftovers or an assault twist, but it's fine. I mean, not that much bothered about it. I think it's a solid mega in my opinion. Rock and dark type, you need a dark type in draft. I cannot stress that enough. You do not want to be destroyed by bulky psychics and bulky ghosts, especially by bulky ghosts, given that pursuit does not exist. And I kind of wish pursuit was allowed because this thing is like one of the best pursuit trappers out there. But yeah, we'll just let that slide, honestly. As for my name, I named him Adam. In the fan game, Adam is a rock gym leader, and Ryland and Adam are brothers, like how Tyranitar and Excadrill are. So there we go. Ability Sandstream. Sandstream allows Tyranitar to set up Sandstorm for 5 turns. Really good for sweeping Excadrill, but also it has this unique effect of increasing your special defense by 1.5 times. And this allows Tyranitar to tank hits so much better. I think I don't know if I remember calking, it comes out to like base 160 special defense in Sand. I'm not that sure, but it's a very good ability. Just chips down your opponents. Rolled amazing setup sweeper. I'll go through the moves the type of moves it learns. Great wall breaker. Rock and Dark is fantastic typing. Just we can spam these moves 9 out of 10, and they will just chip your opponents down so much. He's my other stealth rock setter with Excadrill, so that's nice. I can run him as a stealth rock setter if I want Excadrill to be my main sweeper. If I need stealth rocks, of course. It's a good bulky pivot with those defenses. It can like switch into hits relatively nicely, and yeah, just a sand setter for the team. And yeah, now remember how I said that I really wanted Galerian Wheezing? Tyranitar was that exact reason because Galerian Wheezing and Tyranitar slash Mega Tyranitar have great synergy with each other. Mega Tyranitar is fighting weak, Wheezing is a great fighting resist. Mega Tyranitar is ground weak, Wheezing is a ground immunity. Wheezing is psychic weak, Mega Tyranitar is immune to psychic. The only like commonality between these two is the steel weakness, which again will be shored up later down the road. Offensive moves, body press. I've seen Iron Defense body press sets put so much work. Crunch is a great stab. Dark Pulse can be used for like those mix sets that could like take your opponents off guard. Dragon Tail's amazing for phasing. Great like coverage in Earthquake, Fire Punch, Heavy Slam. Foul Play is amazing for like very like big physical sweepers. Low Kick is a fantastic cover like for fighting coverage move if your opponent is heavy. Rock Blast, Rock Slide, good stabs. Snarl is actually kind of an annoying move for your opponent, so that let's say they have a special mon that is their wall breaker, you can just spam Snarl and you can just cripple their special Pokemon. Great move, great stab and Stone Edge, Seismic Toss, and Thunder Punch, just good coverage. Support. Um, I think the main one I want to go through is Dragon Dance, one of the best Dragon Dance sweepers out there with its great bulk. 71 base speed is actually a very cool speed tier because you outrun those base 65s and those Corviknights, those Vaporeons naturally. So if they do want to like catch up to you, they need to invest some sort of speed. Um, we just hit so hard. Iron Defense again combos very nicely with Body Press. Roar is an amazing phasing move. Taunt, great stall breaker, and Thunder Wave just cool for crippling your opponents. And yeah, Mega Tyranitar is so super nice for my draft because of these reasons. Just great in my opinion. So next up, when I'm looking at my team, I'm like, okay, it can break fighting types. Sorry, it can break grass types that my Excadrill hates. It breaks down pretty much most types that sand teams do not like, and I see a problem. I see that my team isn't good at breaking bulky ground types. Just really not that good at it. Tornadus gets like Tornadus gets Icy Wind. Larios can run Ice Beam. Chandeleur can use Energy Ball. You have coverages, but you like if there's a bulky ground type in on the field like a Hippowdon, it can just wall quite a bit of my draft. And I wanted a bulky water breaker. Now this thing wasn't there in my original draft plan. I had Alomomola initially because I actually wanted a regenerator core with Tornado Syrian and Alomomola, but it was too passive and it wasn't offering me that way to break um, bulky ground types. So I wanted something that could just hit so hard, could hit really hard, and it could also form very cool support for my team. And really cool, this Mon made it back. There was one team that I was super scared of this Mon going to, because if they had this Mon, that team would have been incredibly scary. Just so scary. I think it was the team with the Zero Aura plus Mega Charizard X. Oh no, I did not want this thing going to that team. And they were the only ones who didn't have a bulky water at that point. Regardless, this Pokemon made it back. So happy. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Araquanid. Base, you may look at its stats. 132 special defense is great. When I know said that I was having ice weaknesses, that 132 special defense just completely neuters them from the special side. Physical is okay, not the best, but we'll just make do with it. It's got like 68 base HP, decent attack stat, and 50 base special attack. Nothing good to write about. 42 speed, but this is where you are wrong. Araquanid is a water and bug type, so another very cool ground resist for my team. Um, yeah, just being with the virtue of the bug type, but its biggest boon comes in its ability, Water Bubble. Water Bubble. Oh my God! If you are talking about overpowered abilities, this thing is up there, in my opinion. What does it do? Number one, doubles the strength of water-based moves. So liquidations coming off that base 70 attack will hurt like a truck. It's like a water-based pure power or something, in my opinion. Just absolutely murders Pokemon with the water bubble. Even makes like 50 base power special attack scalds hit decently hard as well. Um, the second ability is that it takes reduced damage from fire moves. So with water and bug, it would be a fire neutrality, but now it's the fire resist, which is even better for my Excadrill now. just comboing so well with my Excadrill right now. And the third thing is it can't get burnt. So like, let's say if your opponent has a Will-O-Wisp Mon, I can just switch in Araquanid and like not even care about burn. So water bubble is so powerful, very powerful ability. It also has water absorb in case I want to run like a more support Araquanid. But I think most weeks, I think 9 out of 10 times I will be running water bubble. So because that is so strong. Physical breaker, defensive tank, and it is one of the few Pokemon that gets sticky webs. And you look at my team, Pokemon like Excadrill, Tyranitar, Chandeleur. They thrive off sticky webs because they are those middle speed tiers that either would like to run Scarf to outrun their opponents, or would need to like set up in the case of Mega Tyranitar with Dragon Dance. Sticky Web pretty much solves that. So what Sticky Web does is if your opponent is grounded, it's touching the ground, their speed lowers by 1, and this makes it where Pokemon such as Excadrill and Chandelure can run offensive items rather than they can run offensive items rather than Scarf or stuff like that. Move pool is a bit limited, but I think it has all what it needs. Crunch, very good for bulky sidekicks and other miscellaneous ones like bulky ghosts. Hydro Pump coming off a base 50 special attack with Water Bubble can actually do a lot of damage. Leech Life just helps like with their just recovering little by little. Liquidation will be its main stab, hitting absolute numbers. Lunge can be very annoying to drop your opponent's defensive stat when it has a lot of special defense. Poison Jab, I don't know, maybe for fairy types, I guess it could be decent coverage. I don't know if I'll use it. And Scald is just an annoying move for opponent to swap in with. Support wise, it gets Iron Defense to shore up its already like shady defense stat even more. Magic Coat is great. Like, let's say your opponent is trying to set up rocks, you click Magic Coat, bam, rocks are on your opponent's side of the field. Mirror Coat, with its very good special defense stat, it can reflect quite a lot of good damage back at the opponent. Speaking of reflecting, it gets reflects as a screen. It doesn't get light screen, which is annoying, but hey, there's an option there. Soak is very cool. Like, let's say if your opponent is a poison type, you can turn them into a water type with Soak, and then you can Toxic Stall them. So really cool, really cool move. Apparently Stockpile is listed twice, but Stockpile is a great defensive option as well to set up with. I went over what Sticky Web does. Really cool support move, and Toxic just to help it break down other types, other different types. So yeah, I think now my team is forming very nicely at this point. I'm very happy with what I have, and at this point, I need 2 to 4 more picks. Yeah, 2 to 4 more picks because it the draft was 115 points for 10 to 12 months. So I wanted some budget low tiers that I am comfortable with, which I have used quite a lot in the past, and I feel they are very good at what they do in their respective positions. Uh, yes, just what they do in their respective positions. So yeah, um, I still needed ways to break bulky water types, right? Because bulky waters are another way that sand teams struggle kind of a bit with your Milotics, etc., etc. And this Pokemon is very very close to my heart. It's usually priced, in my opinion, a little bit lower than it usually should be. I think it should be like 1 point more, but oh well, more benefit for me, more point saving for me. This Pokemon is very close to my heart, and we have a really, in my opinion, just a solid grass type. We have Tangela. Tangela is very unique. It is a first gen mon that originally did not evolve. Now it evolves to Tangrowth, which I think the introduction of Tangrowth just made Tangela so much better because it had the stats where those stats were like that of a fully evolved Pokemon. So that 115 base defense is so good, especially now this thing can hold Eviolite, and Eviolite improves its defense and special defense by 50%, provided it's a non-fully evolved Pokemon. 100 special attack is actually pretty cool. It's actually it actually hits quite nicely with that. It's basically the same special attack stat as like a Dragapult, basically. So that is some context for you guys right there. Um, Never mind the move pool, which I will come back to it later. And special defense, but it is shored up by the Eviolite quite nicely. I think it comes out to like base 95 or something with the Eviolite. Don't quote me. And it has a decent speed tier, 60 base speed. So you're speed tying those Clefables, etc., etc. Ability wise, Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is situational, so pretty cool Sun Sweeper if I want to bring one. Leaf Guard is useless, but the main ability is Regen Narrator, like my Tornado, switches out 33%, forms a very good, cool regen core with my Tornado Syrian, where they can just keep swapping out and keep recovering their HPs. Very good physically defensive pivot. With that base defense being boosted by Eviolite, it takes so many hits. I've used this thing to 1v1 a Talonflame in the past because it could not break past me. Um, yeah, just such a good physically defensive pivot, good utility mon. It gets moves like knockoff and leech seed to help it with its recovery, and it can actually be a decent offensive grass type with, again, with that 100 special attack. And it has some sort of setup that can reflect that. So offensive moves, mainly it has grass coverage. Ancient Power is pretty cool for like those fire and flying types. That's the main way how I beat that Talonflame. Energy Wall will be barely ran. Giga Drain is amazing for that HP recovery. Knockoff is a phenomenal utility move. Leaf Storm if you want to nuke something. Power Up is exists. I don't know if I'll use it. Probably not. Shockwave. Let's say if your opponent has like again a Pokemon that is 4 times weak to electric, can catch them off guard. And Sludge Bomb is pretty cool because now other grass types cannot wall you unless your name is Ferrothorn, which it unfortunately does not get coverage for. But it has other ways. I mean, with the team around me, I can get around that. Support moves. Um, Growth is very cool for sweeping, especially with Chlorophyll. Let's say you just set up Sun, just click Growth, and you start sweeping from there. Leech Seeds are very cool for recovery. Sleep Powder, just pick and choose your opponent's mon that you want to cripple for the rest of the game. Strength Spore for paralysis. Swords Dance, I don't think would be used. Maybe, I don't know. Synthesis for recovery, very cool. And Toxic. And yeah, just I honestly feel Tangela is better than Tangrowth. Even though Tangrowth gets a lot better physical coverage, it has a much higher attack stat. But the fact is that Tangrowth is just not that bulky, and it is usually forced to run Assault Vest if it wants to take hits, especially, and it can't use stuff like Leech Seed, etc. Tangela does not have that problem when it's using the Violite, and it is far cheaper than your Tangrowths. So yeah, just very cool grass type, low tier grass type. I think this thing will be a sleeper, in my opinion. I've seen this thing just wall out opponents outright and deny them so many sweeps. Next up, we have. So I wanted some sort of a cleric, right? I wanted a normal type that is, yeah, just some sort of a normal type that can act as a cleric for my team. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Just had a message to the side. Yeah, so I wanted some sort of a cleric for my team that can just keep my team healthy, can be some sort of utility. I mean, I did not care if this cleric was that offensive. I kind of wanted this mon to be more I kind of wanted this mon to be more of a toolbox mon, and very happy this also made it back to me. We have Marionette the Audino, and 103 base HP is really cool. It helps it takes hits, honestly. Normal typing is pretty cool. Has that ghost immunity. Is only weak to fighting, but I have so many fighting resists already that I'm feeling very comfortable with. Abilities, first two are just useless. I'm not even gonna bother. Third one, we have Regenerator, and we have already discussed what Regen does. So I'm just having this very cool Regenerator core going on with my draft. It has a lot of offensive moves, but based on its absolute terrible attack and special attack, it does not do them quite well. So, I mean, those options are there, but I'm not going to be using them that often. Instead, let's look at the support. Calm Mind, maybe if I if I'm in the mood for like some sort of a Mimi Mega Audi, not Mega Audi, normal Audi, no. Encore is pretty good. Let's say if something set up a Dragon Dance, you can just Encore them and just put their setup in hot water, basically. Has the light screen and reflect, which are pretty cool moves that can help support the team. Healing Wish is great, like in case you want to like revive back a Pokemon. Like let's say if Latios is quite low and I want to give it like a second life, Healing Wish just absolutely helps it like solves that problem. Heal Bell, another cleric with Galerian Wheezing with that status support. Toxic is a staple on Mega Audi, on normal Audino, sorry. Trick Room support. Wish is what I wanted to draft it for. It with mons such as Araquanid and Galarian Wheezing that do not have recovery. I think Wish is just super, super, super strong, and it helps keep them healthy throughout the whole game. And finally, Yawn to cripple any Pokemon that's coming in for some switches. Maybe get some Pokemon asleep down the road. So yeah, just a decent mon. I don't know how much I'll bring it, but I think it will have quite a few cool uses throughout the season. Next Pokemon. Now I have at this point 14 points left. I think, yeah, 14 points left for upwards of 1 to 3 more mons, and I wanted I wanted a decent fighting type, a good low tier fighting type that just helps the Excadrill and Chandeleur to ease in breaking those steel types for Latios and the Torn. And this thing was around. Very, again, super, super stoked that this made it back. We have Kita the Girder. Now, it's not a Conqueror. It's not, but it makes up for it in other ways. 85 base HP is pretty cool. 105 base attack is actually very respectable. 85 base defense, 50 base special defense. Pretty much shored up with Eviolite, honestly. Um, yeah, just it becomes extremely bulky with the Eviolite. 40 speed, meh, but actually quite cool as an anti-trick room option. And the main reason I wanted Girder over other fighting types was because of Guts in particular. Like, let's say if your opponent is spamming Will-O-Wisps, I can just swap into Girder and I can just get that Will-O-Wisp and I can break with its already monstrous 105 attack stat coupled with Guts. Sheer Force is quite a situational ability. It's a very good ability normally, but just the fact that you're normally running Guts is quite cool. Iron Fist is great because it gets so many cool punching moves, like it gets Drain Punch, it gets Mach Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch. Really, really good. Iron Fist user does lose out the ability to check status, but you'd be normally running Iron Fist on like Eviolite sets that are running Mach Punch. Normally, what it does is a physical tank, physical wall breaker, and funnily it gets Defog, which I've always found to be quite funny. Offensive moves. This thing has amazing coverage. Close combat is very spammable. It just breaks so many things with the close combat. Um, Drain Punch for recovery. Facade is amazing, especially if you're a gut set, because you can actually break down so many mons with that move. Fire Punch, Hammer Arm, High Horsepower is actually pretty cool. It doesn't get Earthquake, so It makes up for it with high horsepower in case it wants to use that move. Knockoff is fantastic. Like normally bulky psychics and ghosts would wall you, but with knockoff they aren't an option anymore. Mach Punch is great as a priority move and just cleaning up late game. Poison Jab for the fairies that may want to switch into you. Rock Slide for flying types. Stone Edge for flying types. Thunder Punch for flying types. So look, this thing has so many. The offensive move pool on this spawn is just so good and so nice that its counters, its basically checks, you need to be very careful when coming in against this Pokemon. Support, very limited support, but all what it needs. Bulk up, bulk up is very cool for setting up options. Defog, in case I can't fit it on any other thing. Counter is pretty nice for like taking a hit and just getting rid of your one of your like opponent's biggest threats. Taunt is a pretty nice stall breaking move, and Toxic in case you want to be bulky and annoying. So yeah, as of now, I have most of the Pokemon I wanted, and I'm very happy with this draft. The only thing I'm missing is another way to break bulky waters, which I am still somewhat struggling with. Now, initially, I wanted to go regular Tyranitar plus Xurkitree, because Xurkitree was just 9 points, and I felt even with the removal of Tail Glow and Hidden Power Ice, it was still a very good Mon at what it did. But since regular Tyranitar went and I got Mega Tyranitar, I had that one extra point, and I just asked around, and I think this Pokemon is just fitting in so much better than Xurkitree. So yeah, my final Pokemon in my team is Heliolisk, and oh boy, Heliolisk just gives me so much with my team. Electric and normal typing is actually pretty nice. Electric just breaks down bulky waters, bulky flyings, very spammable typing. Normal type helps short it out with a secondary stab in Hyper Voice that it can use with stuff like Throat Spray, etc. Um, Abilities, yes. When you're a sand team, you are sometimes pressed for water immunities, and I think dry skin just eases it so much more because now I'm not forced to run um, what's this called? I'm not forced to run water absorb that much. Sandwell, let's ignore Sandwell because it's not allowed in this league, unfortunately. But hey, let's say if it was allowed, that would have been pretty pog. But let's ignore the Sandwell. Solar power. This thing is a nightmare in sun. If you get a sun up, this thing just breaks down your opponent's drafts left, right, and center with solar power. Even with 109 base special attack, just absolutely mollywops teams under solar power. Rolls fast pivot. This is my second pivoting option with U-turn and Volt Switch with Torn, which is pretty cool. Cleaner, this thing is an absolute beast of a cleaner in the late game, and a really good special wall breaker in case I'm running solar power sets. Moves, oh boy, this thing gets so much nice coverage. Dark Pulse, Dragon Pulse, uh, Focus Blast, Grass Knot, Hyper Voice, Parabolic Charge, Rising Voltage. Surf is a big one. Surf and Grass Knot are so cool in a metagame where you don't have hidden powers to abuse. Thunder, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Weather Ball. Weather Ball is fantastic because with Dry Skin, you can just set up your own rain and then you can recover, hit people with 100% accurate thunders, and just click Weather Balls against your opponents. If you're not feeling that, you can just bring Surf. Surf helps clear down stuff like that as well. And it has pretty cool supporting options. It gets glare, which is so annoying to face. Like sub glare sets can literally cripple your opponents down if you've had bad RNG. Light screen, I guess light screen, magnetize is pretty cool in case you want to levitate. Toxic and Thunderwave, but Thunderwave is a bit useless since you have Glare, which is 100% accurate move that pretty much hits every type. Like it even hits ground typing and paralyzes them. So yeah, I'm very excited for my team. finally, let's go to the final slide to summarize my draft. And shout out to Friendly for this amazing GIF, for this amazing thumbnail. I think this is so cool. Just perfectly encapsulates my entire draft and what it is setting out to achieve with the sand options, the Torn, the Latios. Yeah, I'm very happy with this draft. I cannot wait to start using it, start building with this team. And yeah, I am so excited for the Ocean Draft League. I will be putting the links to all the content creators and MattOShea himself. Please check out the server. It's a very cool server. I've had a blast and I made so many friends already in that server. So yeah, I'm sorry if I stuttered or if I was distracted, kind of a bit. This is my first time doing it, and if it was long, I'm very sorry about that. Comment, I don't know, comment hurricane if you made it this far. Let's say, right? So that I can just know that like how many of people actually watched like this very extended draft analysis. I don't even know how long this is, but I wanted to go over my whole thought processes and what I wanted in my team. So yeah, thank you very much everyone for watching, and I will see you all soon. Take care.